There are certain activities and hobbies that give us immense pleasure and can even make us forget the tensions of everyday life. Hobbies are considered to be a real stress buster by some, while others think of them as a nice escape from the drudgery of routine life. Hobbies, in fact, add color and substance to the otherwise monotonous life. Encourage your child to develop a hobby. If a child develops a hobby, it just gives him or her a right break midst that gruesome academic schedule they have. Hobbies are an excellent way to rest and relax, which in turn benefits a child's mental health. Hobbies can also teach kids very valuable skills like sharing, caring, focusing, and even figuring out what exactly they want to do in life. Hobbies benefit children in many ways. It gives a child an opportunity to express themselves and it allows them to discover themselves and build self esteem. They are all also great educational tools. A child interested in rock collecting learns about geology and science, and a child in writing stories learns about sentence structure and proper grammar. Hobbies teach children to set and achieve goals, solve problems, and make decisions. They can also set the course for what your child becomes later in life, as they often turn into lifelong interests or careers. Role model parents to develop the interests and hobbies of the child. However, parents should be a role model to make the interest and hobbies of the child. Now we are going to see. Children who have hobbies are usually following in their parents' footsteps so that they can set a good example by pursuing your own hobby. Your child will need space for their hobby, so find an area designated specifically for his hobby so he can work on it. Realize that hobbies can sometimes be quite messy, so be at the ready for messes as they come with the territory. Be available to your child to provide guidance, support, and encouragement. This is a great time to teach your child strong work habits such as following directions closely, setting goals, and proper planning and organization. Show them that nothing worthwhile is ever easy, especially when they begin to become frustrated with their progress. It's also a good time to teach them about personal responsibility and show them how important it is to properly care for their work area and their tools of the trade. Children will be more encouraged to work on their hobbies if activities like watching television or playing video games are limited. It has been noted by experts that by the age of 15, the average child has spent more time watching television than sitting in a classroom. Again, here's where setting a good example is crucial. Instead of watching that 4-hour football game on Saturday, turn the TV off and work on your own hobby. Your child may want to join in or work on their own as a result. Hobbies are rewarding and enriching part of our lives, so encourage your child to explore his own interest and find a hobby of their very own interest. Coming to hobbies. Hobbies can be directly associated with your profession but not necessarily. For an example, an aerospace engineer may have a hobby that involves building and flying model planes. At the same time, that engineer may also be an avid crossword puzzle enthusiast as well. Hobbies require an active pursuit of an interest that could involve collecting, building, cataloging, or creating something. Your hobby might be writing poems, or it could be collecting pictures of historical buildings. Coming to interest. Interests are pursuits that do not elicit the same strong dedication that hobbies do. Interest can span from professional pursuits, but that it is not always the case. For example, an aerospace engineer have an interest in offshore oil drilling as it pertains to generating energy. That interest may have come from the engineer days of designing helipads for offshore oil rigs. The primary difference between hobbies and interest is that there is not the same inspire, the same level of dedication that hobbies do. Someone with an interest in quantum physics may learn just enough to understand it, while that same person may have a hobby that involves collecting old railroad pictures which consumes of their free time. We shall see the psychology of hobbies. Why do people have different hobbies? Why do some people have strange ones? Why would someone collect stamps? Each single action that a person takes reflects his psychological makeup, and hobbies are no different. Some people say that humans develop hobbies in order to get a relief from the stressful world they live in, and while this fact is 100% true, still it didn't explain why each person decides to get rid of that stress in a different way. Hobbies reflect the innermost desires of a people, help them fulfill their unmet interests and needs, and make them feel special, as you will see in the next few lines. The connection between hobbies and personalities. Here are few reasons that motivate people to develop certain hobbies. First is the compensation. Many people develop certain hobbies to compensate for certain unsatisfied emotional needs. A guy who felt powerless during his childhood might suddenly find himself in love with martial arts. By becoming more powerful, that person can satisfy the emotional hunger for power he developed earlier in his childhood. That's also the reason why some of those who got bullied as children become famous fighters when they grow up. Secondly, support a certain identity. Sometimes the main reason a person develops a certain hobby is to protect a certain identity. Why do you think some girls like football? It is because they want to assert the identity of the strong independent women instead of the Barbie girl identity which is usually imposed on them. Third is to control the world. Some people develop certain hobbies such as video games addiction in order to become in control of the imaginary world these games allow them to live in. When some people feel powerless or not in control, they might look for another real that can make them feel in control, such as an imaginary world provided by a certain game. That's also the same reason why some people like actions and fantasy movies. Recollection. Some people start to collect stuff because they are too attached to the past. This usually happens with the people who prefer their past over their present. The hobby of collecting stuff allows people to ease the insecurities that arise when good things get taken from them. It's as if they are locking their good memories in a cupboard in order to protect them from being taken away. Fifth one is channeling their emotions. Aggressive people will usually find aggressive sports more appealing than other sports. Artists, writers, and painters use their hobbies to dump the experience they go through, especially the emotionally intensive ones. People do the same hobbies for different reasons. Do all people who do a certain hobby do it for the same exact reason? No. People can be doing the same exact hobby for completely different reasons. Gym addicts, for an example, might be showing people who want to attract attention, power seekers who want to become strong, narcissistic ones who want to be the best, girls who want to prove that they didn't get old, or even people who have self doubts concerning their looks. So, you can't just say that a person has certain personality traits just because he likes a certain hobby, but instead you need to get to know more about that person's beliefs, their hobbies, and the way it fits in his mental framework. Benefits of hobbies. Hobbies could be very entertaining and thrilling. Hobbies can also be motivating and encouraging. Parents can help their children enjoy what they do with their hobbies. The main goal is to tap into their pool of talent and skills to develop further expertise so that they can turn the expertise into professional achievements. Hobbies in children form the basic building blocks of life. Helping your children choose a good hobby and develop it over time can provide a number of benefits. These benefits could be either physical or mental like. First one is development of critical thinking and cognitive skills. Next, development of imagination and guessing. Thirdly, it develops creativity, and it is also a tool to enjoy life. Academic benefits. Academic benefits believe that developing hobbies can help your children with a series of benefits like before. Firstly, developing the value of patience. Next, learning how to manage life both personal and professional. Develop the quality of willpower, dedication, concentration, and determination. Next, accomplishment or achievement of different fears, personal interest, and hobbies of children. Coming to personal interest, listening to music. Listening to music is probably one of the most common hobbies and interest. There would be very few people in the world who wouldn't be enchanted with music. When you are tired after a long day at work, only music has the capacity to transport you to the world of serenity and tranquility. Different people like different types of music, and whether you are a fan of jazz or classical or heavy metal or anything light, make music your daily dose of motivation and try to learn as much as from it as possible. Stamp collection or coin collection. Some very interesting hobbies and interests are stamp collection and coin collection. Whether you are novice in collecting stamps or coins and have just cultivated the habit, or whether you have always been doing it, you are not alone. Thousands of people across the world have the habit of collecting stamps and coins, and if you need to know that the habits of collecting stamps or coins doesn't require the study of it. However, it requires the passion and diligence in doing so. You need to know different coins of different places, and the same is with the stamps too. Start with your own place and always be in lookout for new stamps and coins. Also be ready to learn from other people who are in this habit longer than you. Reading books. Of course, the best way to acquire wisdom is by cultivating the habit of reading books. It not only opens a world of wisdom in front of us, it also helps us in understanding the people and the surroundings around us. A good book can be greatly satisfying and can teach us about a plethora of subjects which won't be possible by just observation. The best way to cultivate this habit is by understanding that reading is a pleasure. Always keep a good book around you and set a reading goal by setting out some time for reading every day. Playing musical instruments. Knowing how to play a musical instrument not only gives us a talent but also keeps away from bad habits. The best thing would be to develop this habit as early as possible. However, it is never too late to cultivate good habits. So, if you are toying with idea of learning to play any musical instrument, now is the right time to learn something new. Children who play the violin or study piano could be learning more than just Mozart. Musical training might also help the kids focus their attention, control their emotion, diminish their anxiety. Writing diary. Sure, writing diary is yet another habit which many people do in the world have, because it is also a very good habit. It helps us to synchronize our thoughts and help us to put our thoughts to a paper. However, it is a very important to maintain the diary on a regular basis. Gardening. Gardening is one of the best habits one can cultivate. With all the global warming and pollution in the world, the least we could do is for the earth is to give it a little TLC. It's nothing but tender loving care. If you are a serious gardener, then you could also help other people, at least your family members, to develop this habit. Here comes the list of some other hobbies and interests the child can do: dancing, watching TV, painting, watching movies, collecting antiques, making crafts, doing or watching magic, watching cartoons, indulging in adventurous sports, scuba diving, bungee jumping, paragliding, windsurfing, hot air ballooning, collecting pens, fishing, horse riding, playing computer games, playing sports like football, volleyball, basketball, cricket, etc. Going for a long drive in bikes, cars with their parents, playing chess, collecting postcards, stargazing, traveling to adventurous. So far we have seen several hobbies. Development of the child. Learning a hobby or other complex task in childhood with assistance from a trusted adult may help guard against the emergence of personality disorder later on in life, reports a study in the current issue of the journal Development and Psychopathology. So, for a stress-free, enjoyable childhood and a great adulthood life, do encourage your kid to take up a hobby or she enjoys. Let them explore what they like. Give them multiple options. We don't need to send them to 10 different extracurricular activity classes. We just need to nudge them towards the one they have a preference and liking to do. The lack of hobbies. All people without expectation have unmet needs. However, not all of them try to satisfy these unmet needs. People who blame others, act like victims, or have external locus of control are less likely to develop any hobbies even if they have certain important needs. Sometimes people develop hobbies as a result of their courage to pursue their important needs. For an example, some people use their hobbies to tame their fears. Some serves or people who get involved into more dangerous sports do this in order to prove themselves or to others that they are brave. Tips to enhance the hobbies and interest. Firstly, keep on trying and trying and trying, never give up. Secondly, after choosing the activity you think is the best, don't forget to keep on going. Don't just stop with just one sculpture or just one painting or just one poem. Of course, you won't be satisfied. Next, there is always 1% talent and 99% work. Now, coming to the conclusion, every child has a unique personality, interest, and skills. As parents, we want the best for our kids, but more often than not, the decision to choose unique hobby ideas for our children is based on availability of hobby or feasibility, peer pressure, and parents' wishes. Encouraging your child to engage in a hobby not only lets you steal away for some personal time, but also gives your child a chance to develop his self esteem and keep himself entertained. Child psychologists suggest that the parents should observe their children to determine what hobbies would most interest them and assist them in pursuing these creative and worthwhile endeavors. I hope you all enjoyed this session. Thank you.